Hey, welcome back to another episode of Is It Worth It? The show where I'll give you my thoughts over some gameplay on a game that I recently played. And today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. But before we get into that, a quick shout out to my Twitch, twitch.tv/Vahlkor. If you want to see me stream some games live, come on over to twitch.tv/Vahlkor. And as always, all the footage you're going to see in this video is from there, so come on, check it out. Alright, this game doesn't need an introduction, but just in case, here we go. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a third-person action-adventure game developed by Respawn Entertainment and published by Electronic Arts. It is the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which I have to admit, I enjoyed the game, I am a fan, and overall, it is an improvement to that first game in almost every way. However, I feel like I have to start by talking about the game's release date across all the platforms. And honestly, I still don't understand how Respawn and EA allowed for the game to be released in the condition that it did. It seems like for a while, we have been getting game after game that we are excited for, and when they hit the shelves, they're just broken. I mean, come on. I understand that people get upset when games are delayed. However, I think that if you spend $70, you'll probably be even more upset when the game's release date is not ideal. And unfortunately for the developers, this is a lose-lose situation. But if they are forced to choose between delaying the game or releasing a buggy game, then I would prefer them to delay. I get that it can be upsetting. Some people will want this game to be released sooner, right? However, if the delay means that the game will come out performing better across the board, then we wouldn't have to deal with the disappointment of having our games giving us subpar gameplay experiences. At the time of this recording, the game has received 2 patches, but it's still plagued with numerous performance issues, and in the meantime, I want to share with you my personal experience with it. So I played the game on PS5 using performance mode, and having played games like God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Forbidden West, I was expecting the gameplay to be smooth and without issues. Visually, the game looks great. The landscapes are very cool to explore. However, my immersion was constantly disrupted by low frame rate, especially during some of the more intense cutscenes, which made it hard to appreciate the environment. If you're thinking about buying this game, it's best to wait and see if there's any more performance patches released, because currently I am disappointed to say that this game does not live up to my expectations in that aspect. The game's story takes place a few years after the first one, and once again, you'll play as Cal Kestis. Your old crew is currently not with you when you start the game, so it seems that Cal has been on his own for a while now. The worlds are way bigger than they were before in Fallen Order, with more to explore, more to collect, and more to see, which is generally a good thing. The main planet is called Kobo, and it is by far the biggest one you've encountered. There's a lot of different biomes to travel around, there's a lot of collectibles to find, there's some bosses to fight, and I really enjoy my time here. In particularly, it serves as your home base. In your journey, we'll take you to explore 6 different planets. They are all pretty well designed, and you'll meet some pretty cool characters along the way, and a lot of them will join you back at home, where you can even find some more interaction and do more quests to complete for them. Also, during the opening hours of the game, I was content with the story. It did a good job of making me want to continue to unfold it. However, a little after the second half, it just ramps up rather quickly. And to be completely transparent, I don't consider myself a Star Wars fan. I don't really know the story aside from like the big moments that everyone talk about. However, this game, I really enjoy what Respawn is telling us here. I don't know how close to like the source material this is. I believe this is all like a brand new story made by Respawn, and overall I think it's genuinely enjoyable. Now obviously I don't want to spoil the story here, so I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but what I can tell you is that it is a pretty good ride. I enjoyed it. I think it's good, and I don't know how close it is to like the source material of Star Wars. I just know that I enjoyed it. As far as gameplays and features, I have to say that in many aspects, it is an improvement from the first game. There are 5 different instances that change the way that you play. You start with your typical single-bladed lightsaber. Although, you know, might not be the most exciting option, it provides you with a well-rounded set of stats and promotes consistent balance between speed, range, and damage. Shortly after, you will unlock the double-bladed lightsaber, which in this stance, you will increase the speed of your attacks at the cost of some damage, and I found it was most useful while fighting groups of enemies. You'll then unlock the dual-wielding stance. In this one, it is definitely the fastest one in the game, and it will allow you to do a lot of damage quickly. You'll also unlock the blaster stance, which allows Kyle to wield a blaster and in one hand and then a lightsaber in the other. The ability to essentially have long range made it very useful against enemies that were afar or like flying in the air, and also implementing shooting in the middle of your combos was really cool. And then finally, the crossguard stance. This is the one that, Kylo Ren, you channel your inner Kylo Ren in this game. This one is very slow, heavy swings. It was very, very cool, but at the same time, not my thing. I don't really like slow weapons in any game. And this wasn't the slowest weapon I've ever used in any different games. However, it was definitely not my thing. I could tell that it was good to fight with enemies that are susceptible to have high defense. It was a really good one for that, but I just used it for a few minutes and I was over it immediately. So I can't really speak too much about it. Now, I ended up sticking with my favorite two, which in this case was the blaster stance and then the dual-bladed one. I really thought that was a good combination. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool, and I just stuck with those, to be honest, for most of the game. Overall, I was happy with the combat. However, in a lot of cases, it did feel clunky. The lack of responsiveness with the parry and dodge mechanics made it so that I constantly felt the need to step back and have a more defensive approach. Overall, I was happy with the combat. However, in a lot of cases, it felt clunky. The lack of responsiveness with the parry and dodge mechanics made it so that I constantly felt the need to step back and have a more defensive approach. Often, I wanted to just go in, match combos together, and often I wanted to go in and match combos together only to find myself getting stopped mid-animation, being punished by an attack that in my eyes felt like a successful parry. It's hard for me to explain because in general the combat felt okay, but in some areas left me feeling like I wanted to do more with my abilities. I wanted to feel like a Jedi, combining my flashy moveset with force abilities, pulling and pushing and doing all these things. At the same time, using my lightsaber to dismember all the enemies around me, feeling powerful, feeling like what I envision a Jedi will be doing in combat like this. Instead, I found myself questioning, why did that parry didn't work? Why didn't I dodge that? It was a little weird to say the least, but overall it felt okay. There is also a skill tree where you can choose to spend your skill points to unlock more capabilities with your weapons, as well as Cal's overall survivability, increasing your health, force capacity, and stuff like that. You also had the ability to respec if you needed to. I didn't find the need for it. I think I only did it once, but then I was pretty much set in what I wanted to use, so I didn't really have to go back and spend points somewhere else. And eventually I did finish completing the entire thing, and I had points to spend, so I could go back and explore and experiment with some more abilities if I wanted to. Another one is a feature is it comes in the forms of a classic Star Wars cantina. In here, you'll have the NPCs that you meet around your journey. They will come over and usually give you a side quest, or they will be collecting things for you once you go out in the world. It is pretty cool. You have a garden to plant seeds and grow flowers that you'll find around. There's also some fish that you collect, and then you'll see them in your little fish tank, or actually quite big fish tank. But then my favorite was the Holo Tactics minigame. It's just a auto battler type thing, akin to some of the older games where you have mini games inside, card games and stuff like that. In this case, it was basically an auto battler. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. But hey, to answer the question, is it worth it? Well, I spent about 30 hours throughout the game, and I wasn't necessarily exploring everything. However, there is definitely some more cosmetics that I could go hunt down, and the overall experience of the story was very good. Graphically, the game looks great. However, the biggest issue I have, it has to be this performance thing. I would say if you enjoyed the first game, then you will more than likely enjoy this second one. But I would suggest keeping an eye out for the patches and performance reports or anything like that to make sure that the game is running better in the platform that you're choosing to play. I really wish I could say, go get this game right now, but honestly, I just cannot. The frame rates being this bad and the performance being this bad, I really caution people to wait. It is a $70 game. It is pretty expensive, and I wouldn't want to recommend something that you might not enjoy. Anyways, that wraps up this episode of Is It Worth It? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments and let me a like if you liked the video. As always, if you want to check out the stream, go ahead and check out the twitch.tv/Vahlkor. Link to that in the description down below. And as always, my name is Vahlkor, and I'll see you next time.